This is Amber Beacon Tower where Kelly Tan was murdered, and it is said to be haunted since her death. Apparently, there have been reported sightings of a female apparition roaming these areas, described as the restless soul of Kelly seeking justice for her death, as her killers still remain at large till this very day. Many who jogged past the tower at 10:30 p.m. reported hearing wailing sounds coming from the top of the tower, which is where I'm standing right now. And I don't hear any wailing sounds other than the waves crashing by the beach. Others have said they have seen fresh bloodstains on the steps and railings of the tower, which I haven't checked, but will probably do so later. Tonight, we're diving into the Amber Beacon Tower murder, and we'll also be visiting the different crime scenes where everything took place. I also brought my EMF reader, and we'll be seeing if this tower is actually haunted. Kelly was born in 1968 in Singapore to an affluent immigrant family from Indonesia. She had one elder sister, 3 younger sisters, and 2 younger brothers in her family, who all resided at a bungalow house in Thomson Road. She then entered Yio Chu Kang Secondary School, where she met her future boyfriend, James So. James was said to be a studious student and enthusiastic about sports and games. They were both good students, and they were prefects in their school. Although Kelly was the opposite of So in terms of their interests and personality, they were somehow attracted to each other. After both James and Kelly graduated, James enrolled into an electronic engineering course at Ngee Ann Polytechnic. Kelly, on the other hand, did not continue studying and instead joined her father's business and worked under him. The pair did stay in contact as platonic friends for a few more years. And on the 15th of May 1990, almost a decade after they first met, James finally decided to ask Kelly out on what would be their first and last ever date. At around 10:30 p.m. on the night of 15 May 1990, just 2 days after they first became a couple, James and Kelly went on a date here at East Coast Park. So this is where James drove his dad's car to and most likely parked here in this car park, right behind what was back then known as Singa Inn Seafood Restaurant. They then headed to Amber Beacon Tower, which was a popular spot for young couples to hang out and go on a date. Even up till today, people would still hang out in this tower, sitting on these very steps, oblivious to the horrific murder that happened a few years ago. And I have to say, this place is quite a nice place to chill and hang out with your date. You know, you can sit here, look at the sea and enjoy the sea breeze. And funny story, I actually went on a ghost hunting tour here at this tower. And as I was climbing these steps, I actually slipped and fell around 8 to 10 steps up the ground. And it is at this very spot where James and Kelly sat, facing the sea before the vicious murder happened. While James and Kelly were sitting at the bottom of the tower, seemingly out of nowhere, 2 men hurriedly brushed past them and went to the upper level of the tower. The new lovebirds paid no attention to them as nothing seemed awry at that moment. I mean, why would they suspect 2 random strangers simply walking past them? In fact, James and Kelly were probably very cordial and excused themselves to the side to allow these strangers to pass. 15 minutes would go by when suddenly James and Kelly hears the quick rustling of footsteps from behind them. The 2 unidentified assailants would begin attacking the pair with knives. While Kelly ran away to escape, the other men stayed at the tower to attack James, who tried to defend himself against the assailant. He put on a good fight, but James was eventually stabbed in the back. The wound was so deep that it just narrowly missed his spinal cord, and it would have been fatal if it had struck it. A short distance away, Kelly was in a more dire situation. Her attacker had caught up to her and stabbed her below her left ear, sustaining a deep neck wound. The knife would cause a massive bleeding, leading to Kelly's collapse. This is the estimated spot where Kelly collapsed, around 20 to 30 meters away from Amber Beacon Tower. After the vicious attack, the 2 assailants fled the scene. James, who barely retained his consciousness, staggered over to help his girlfriend, and he wanted to bring her to help to the nearby Singa Inn restaurant. But he couldn't really do so as he himself was losing too much blood. James, who was drenched in blood and in a semi-conscious state, reached the now demolished Singa Inn restaurant, which was right here. Now bear in mind, it looked very different back then. You can see now it looks very modern, but here's an image of the old Singa Inn restaurant, so it's very different from how it is right now. And it is here that he asked the employees of the establishment to help him and his girlfriend, who was behind bleeding out. James then passed out from either shock or blood loss. The police and ambulance were contacted along with James' parents, who rushed to the scene. 22-year-old James So Fook Leong was rushed to Singapore General Hospital, where fortunately he survived with timely medical intervention. His girlfriend, however, 21-year-old Kelly Tan, was unfortunately pronounced dead at the scene. She didn't make it, clearly, because of that deep neck wound. I mean, who would survive that lah? Also, imagine you were the staff of the restaurant and all of a sudden a bloodied man barges into the place asking for help, and then he just collapses onto the ground. What a scene that would be, man. It sounds like a scene straight out of a movie. What would you do? I would be damn shocked, man. In fact, I might just freeze on the spot. Till this day, the motives of the killers remain largely unknown. It seemed almost like a vicious random attack, but more on the killers and their motives later on. James, who regained his consciousness in hospital and was in a stable condition, was unaware of his girlfriend's demise and kept asking his mother if she was alright. However, as suggested by the doctors, James' parents kept the news from their son for fear that it may affect his recovery progress. When James found out 2 days later that Kelly passed away from her injuries, he was devastated. According to James's mother, she and her husband were baffled over the horrific and senseless attack, and she knew that her son did not have any enemies since he was often well behaved. Remember, they were prefects in secondary school. The public was also shocked to hear that a beloved dating spot had been the location of a gruesome and seemingly senseless crime. Kelly's father, who was in Indonesia at the time, flew back to Singapore to attend his daughter's funeral. What blows my mind is that James and Kelly had only been officially together for 2 days, like 2 days, and then this tragic incident happened. Like, how would you guys have felt if your girlfriend of 2 days was murdered in a brutal attack? When James's condition became stable, the police started to interview him. However, due to the sudden nature of the attack and the fact that it happened at night, James couldn't really remember how the attackers looked or sounded like. But the police were able to gain a rough description that the men were dark-looking and that the person who attacked James had short hair and was about 173 cm tall. The second assailant, who went after Kelly, was about 167 cm and had curly black hair. One of the alleged motives for this seemingly unwarranted attack was robbery, even though nothing was actually stolen from them. This theory was corroborated by previous reports of people being robbed in East Coast Park during nights or late evenings. Another theory was that they were high on drugs and wanted more drug money, as the attack seemed really unprovoked. However, as stated, nothing was actually stolen, so it is quite unlikely that this was a robbery. Yeah, it just boggles my mind. It seems like just a random vicious attack. They weren't even robbed. Like, what's the point of that? Why would someone do something like that? The final popular theory was the possibility of a revenge killing. But both James and Kelly were known to be good-mannered people who did not have any grudges or feuds with any other people. Like I said, they were rather well-behaved people and prefects in secondary school. There was even a far-fetched rumor which said that it was James that attacked Kelly and injured himself to make it seem like he was a victim too. But this is a rather preposterous idea because James was also stabbed, and he was stabbed so hard that it only narrowly missed his spinal cord. If it was a premeditated attack, that would require some insane accuracy and calculation to stab yourself so close to your spinal cord to avoid, paralyzing you for life. So I think this theory is kind of bullshit, to be honest. Due to the lack of clues, the police were unable to make a breakthrough in their investigations. Furthermore, the murder weapons were never found. 2 years after the incident, Kelly's family put up a $30,000 reward for any information that could lead to the arrest of the attackers. Kelly's 28-year-old cousin Anthony said the reward would be entrusted to the police and be indefinitely in effect until the arrest of Tan's killers. Her family also made an appearance at the end of a Crime Watch episode in June 1992 to appeal to the public for any information that could help in the arrest of the perpetrators. Unfortunately, nothing came of it, even though there were several calls about the case. And I guess nobody really saw anything of significance on that fateful night, as nobody has yet to collect the $30,000 reward till this day. James, on the other hand, has since been married with a 16-year-old son. In 2015, 25 years after the attack, James was interviewed by the media and had only told his son of this incident just a year prior. James said, "I always tell my son, you never know what can happen. No matter how strong you are, my advice is think smart, don't go to places that let people have a chance to do something to you. And you can tell how this traumatic event has shaped James and his very core fiber of being. I can only imagine being James and living in paranoia all these years, so I completely understand his point of view and his just general paranoia of life, and always, he's living life always looking over his shoulders. James also added, until now, it's still a big question mark for me. Why did it happen? A life was taken. What they did was ridiculous, and I wish they could be found. To this day, James mentions that he is still very wary of footsteps behind him, and is always looking back and letting people walk ahead where he can see them. He also avoids secluded areas. Do you think this crime would happen today if it were to happen like in 2024?
Honestly, no.
Unlikely,
By today,
right?
there will be security cameras all
Yeah.
over the freaking place. And it's also like, as the murderers, till this point today, having that dark secret with you.
Yeah, they're still walking around.
They're still walking around. You never know. It could be your uncle downstairs.
Yeah, if he has dark curly hair lah. Be wary of dark curly hair people lah. If your brother got dark curly hair, guys, your brother might be the killer. Watch out. Looking for any fresh blood stains on the railings. Looks pretty clean. No fresh blood stains here. Any Pontianaks around? Anyone? Kelly, perhaps? Oh my god, what the hell is that? What's this? It could be a sleeping mat. Maybe there are squatters here. Someone's sleeping around here. Let's turn on the EMF reader, see the signal here. Ooh, a quite strong, consistent signal though. And this is quite rare. Usually the signal just flicks up and then comes back down. Yeah, it's right here. Let's just walk one round and see which area has the strongest signal. It's not this thing, right? Yeah, there's nothing in here. Here is very strong, actually. Hello, am I speaking to anybody? Is anyone or anything here? White female apparition roaming this area. If you want to make yourself seen, I would love to see you. I mean, it's just a consistent signal at level 3, so we can't really determine anything from that. It's worth pointing out that this Amber Beacon Tower is still an active tower that Singapore's maritime services use as a reference point. So it could be that this tower is emitting or receiving signals. That's why the fluctuation in the EMF signal. Oh look, it's super strong on top when I go higher. It's a weird, funky smell. Smells like garbage now. Okay, I'm gonna stand at a spot where the signal is 0 and try calling or invoking anything. And if it spikes, then maybe there'll be something that'll be interesting. Is the restless soul of Kelly still here? Yeah, it's just at level 1. The spot over there was stronger. Something tells me it's just because this tower is an active tower. So it's funny, right? Like ghost hunters would come here and they would use all their gadgets and whatnot, and they would see a spike. Oh my god, the EMF is spiking. But little do they know that this tower is still active. So perhaps that's why it's affecting all their gadgets. Even the... Oh, it was blinking for a bit. Even the last time I came here on the ghost hunting session, they took out their EMF readers as well, and everyone was like shocked that the EMF was spiking when we all came up here. And it could be that because this tower is active. So, my conclusion, this tower, it's not haunted. It's bullshit. Ghosts don't exist. I think, for now, I haven't really seen anything so far from all my ghost hunting expeditions. I don't think this tower is haunted, man. It's actually a very nice spot, and I implore all of you guys to come here and chill with your date. Just don't kill anyone, yeah? And that's it for today's episode. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Let me know what other stories you would like me to cover. I have a Google form in the description. And thank you to our channel members for supporting this channel in general. Thank you so much. See you guys when I see you. Bye. Roll the intro. I mean the outro. Roll the outro. Look at our new outro. Wow, it's so cool. It's playing now. Look at our outro. It's a TV. Wow. So cool. Okay.